Check 1 2. Check 1 2. There we go. We should be good.
Are we restarting the entire meeting?
Yeah, there we go.
Excellent. Does anyone know I'm trying to be done by 10 to 2? When you're ready. Okay, I'd like to call the Municipal District of Taber June 24th, 2025 regular meeting of council to order. We have an agenda in front of us. Any additions or deletions? Motion?
I can accept the agenda as presented.
Thank you. Those in favor? Motion is carried. Protocol items, I'm going to run through a few because we don't have a meeting till mid-July. June 30th, the town of Taber has invited all of MD residents to take part in their 120th anniversary celebration. And as council, we commend them for this accomplishment and we look forward to their party. July 1st is Canada Day. Come and celebrate our great nation in Vauxhall and Taber. There's volunteers who put together amazing celebrations in both. Check the website and social media for updates. July 2nd to 5th is the Southern Alberta Summer Games, where we have just short of 1,000 athletes and 300 volunteers who will be participating. So come out and support them and thank our volunteers who will be in bright pink shirts. July 7th is the MD of Taber Land Management Plan at the Operations Building or MD Shop at 7 o'clock. And there's details on our website. And July 10th at 7 in Enchant is our Coffee with Council. So we encourage everyone to participate in those events. Anyone else have anything they want to add? Seeing none, we'll go to confirmation of minutes, June 10th, 2025.
I give you a motion to accept the June 10th regular council meeting minutes.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Those in favor? That's carried. Public engagement, call for people to speak. I think, Walter, you're here for Chinook Country Shooters, right?
Yep.
Perfect. So, and we're going to go next into delegations. We have the RCMP report. Sergeant Gimmel isn't able to be with us today. So have a quick moment to review it. And then if we have questions, we can ask Arliss to convey them, or we can just hold them till our July meeting. And once you're ready, I'll go ahead.
Just with seeing in the news a number of activity regarding illicit substances within the town of Taber, and I'm just kind of wondering if we're seeing similar from the RCMP in the rural areas.
Okay, we can pass that question along to RCMP. I mean, their report indicates there's definitely more activity, not necessarily with that particular type of file, but there's definitely increased activity in our area. And when you're ready, if there's no further questions, we'll just receive the report as presented. Councillor Clausen?
I can move to receive the RCMP report as presented.
Thank you. Those in favor? That's carried. Next up, we have the Chinook Country Shooters Club. Mr. Walter Hornsby. Hornby, thank you. So while you're getting set up, Arliss will explain the mic, but we'll go quickly around and introduce, and we'll start on my right.
Brian Hildebrand, Councillor Division 3, Grassy Lake and area.
John Digger, Division 5, Hazen area.
Morning, Walter. John Tricato, Division 2, which is south of Taber.
Tamara Mianega, Division 4, which is Taber north to the Old Man River.
Good morning, Chantal Clausen, Division 7, Vauxhall area.
Murray Reynolds, Division 6, Enchant area.
Merrill Harris, Division 1, which is Taber West. Thank you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for having me. Those who don't know me, name's Walter Hornby. I'm from Vauxhall. And I am here today for the Chinook Country Shooters as the match director for the 2025 Canadian IPSC Handgun Nationals that'll be happening out at the sports complex from July 28th to August the 3rd. We are expecting almost 100 people for the pre-match, so that'll be all our match officials and everything that shoot ahead of time. And then the main match, we were set up to take 450. Unfortunately, we only got 350. So the numbers are down a little bit. And I've been working a little bit with administration for getting picnic tables. Bryce was working with me on that. I haven't heard how many we can get, but I asked for 40 or 50. I don't quite remember. And then I asked for a couple of things so that we could put into prizes, so sweaters and hats. And that's quick and easy. Questions?
Well, it looks, go ahead, Councillor Takeda.
So if you're not able to source enough from the MD, I'm sure that the Kinsman would have them available for that time, I would think.
Oh, okay.
Because the Kinsman, of course, use the ones for the beer gardens every year.
Yeah.
And so that wouldn't be during Corn Fest, so then that would be easily accessible from
Okay,
them as
good,
well.
because I've talked to the chamber about getting the folding tables, but I gotta go with round ones with them, because somebody's got the long ones booked for the long weekend, which didn't surprise me, but we'll make do. But Kinsman, okay, I'll have to chase them down.
So you say 350 competitors, is that right, that are coming for this? So, and how many days will they be here?
The total match is 6 days. The first 2 days is what we call the pre-match, and that's when we have all our match officials and sponsors and whatnot shoot. And then the main match is when we have our gold teams from across Canada shoot for 2 days, and the other 2 days we have people that want to shoot nationals. So and everybody shoots 2 half days. So
Yeah, congratulations on landing a national event for Tabor. And yeah, maybe, eh? Depends how much work it is for you.
Yeah.
But maybe we could work together with staff somehow, because since I previously I was on that Tabor Shooting Foundation, I think it's something that needs to be promoted a bit more, because it is a world-class facility, and if we can work somehow with our staff and get some videos shot and post on our website or help promote in general, I think that'd be a good thing.
yeah, so the staff's been very good working with me for trying to line up tables
That's good
and
to hear.
whatnot. And of course, I'm working with the town too. They're trying to help us out. They're going to supply us with garbage services and whatnot. So
Yeah. And I'm sure our staff will have that range in top shape for you.
yeah, well, it's a big event. Like I said, we'll have at any one time, we'll probably have 200 people on
Yeah,
that
that's
range,
incredible.
you know. So, you know, we've had to source a food truck, source an ice cream truck.
Yeah.
We booked 60 rooms in Tabor.
And Lethbridge also, correct?
And Lethbridge on top of it. But I talked to the 3 main hotels in Tabor, and they all said they could book like me out for 20 rooms each, because of course the highway's taking a lot of the rooms. And I don't know how many of that 60 got taken, but yeah, we, you know, and then unfortunately we're going to have the banquet in Lethbridge, because there's just no place big enough in Tabor to hold a banquet of that size.
Maybe we'll mention that to the town of Tabor.
Yeah, you know, I mean, the biggest they have is the community hall over here, and I think it was 300 or something. So, you know, and I mean, our banquet is a big affair. We try to encourage everybody to show up in, you know, semi-formal wear and everything. So, the Sunday is what we call a rain day. If we happen to get shut down for half a day or a day, we make it up on the Sunday. But if we don't use it, then we have what we call man-on-man challenges. And it's basically a round-robin thing, and best man wins out of it. So that can get to be fun.
Well, as Deputy Reeve said, we're so impressed by the range and the level of commitment that your volunteers have shown and the hundreds of hours that you as a volunteer have put in with your committee to put on IPSC.
Yeah.
So we really want to thank you, and hopefully we can help with the tables. I'm not sure how our numbers are or if we have these kind of tables available, but before we leave, we'll just pause for a minute so that Councillor Turcato can give you the Kinsman phone number
Okay,
so that you can have that before you leave.
that would be great, otherwise it would be bugging staff out front.
So council, would you like to deal with the Chinook Country Shooters agenda item right now? Or just stay in? Okay, so I heard sure, so we'll go down to, on our paper copy, 9.3. And then maybe just Walter, hang on for a minute
Yeah.
if we have questions.
No problem.
So yeah, if staff can speak to this.
Bryce, you.
Yes, so with respect to our donations, donations to community organizations and groups, there is a proposal, there's a recommendation from administration in front of council today in support. It's an in-kind request from the Chinook Country Shooters, and that is in the form of picnic tables. We were able to access approximately 25 tables that we could provide. The in-kind contribution is primarily for the time it takes to gather them together, deliver them and such, as well as $400 for 4 sweater hat combination swag packages that could be provided for one of their events or however they see fit to share that. So the contribution is follows our standard donations to community groups recommendations, and it's for council consideration today.
Okay, council? Do you have any questions to that information?
So you've been able to source 25 tables for 'em.
That operationally, we have in the MDA table been able to find approximately 25 tables that we feel that we could provide for the event.
And you figure $400 will do the sweaters and hats.
Yeah, so 400 for the swag, and then we're calculating approximately $1,600 is what the in-kind municipal contribution would look like to gather the 25 tables, bring them down, drop them off, and then pick them back up.
I can then give you the motion that the municipal district of Tabor approve an in-kind donation of 2,000 if it's 1,600 and 400
Yeah, approximately 2.
to the Chinook Country Shooters with the use of MD of Tabor picnic tables in support of their IPSC 2025 Canadian Handgun National Event, and 4 MD swag packages in response to their application to the Municipal District of Tabor donations to community organization program events and activities policy.
Okay, any questions or comments? Those in favor? That motion is carried. Thank you. Thanks, Walter. And
Thank you very much, I appreciate it. You guys have a good day.
yes, you as well. Arliss, do we have these guys attending
Yeah, they're attending
at 9:30?
online and they're not online yet.
Okay, so are you okay if we just continue on until they arrive and you'll just interrupt us and let us know?
Yeah, most definitely.
Okay, so we'll come back to the scheduled 9:30 delegation. So number 6, declarations of conflict. Seeing none, we will go into the consent agenda to the CAO report. I'll turn it over to admin if they have highlights, and then to council to questions.
Yeah, so with respect to the CEO report, not trying to simplify it too much, but we're here to answer any questions that council has from it. This is the first time seasonally for this season. We did include the maps of the like the progress maps for spraying and roadside mowing, just to provide a monthly update there with respect to the progress we make.
I have a question, since there's a few of us that are no longer on Ag Service Board because it's we have members at large there. I'm wondering about, I had a resident landowner call me last week, concerned about when they do shoulder pulls gravel recovery, how the downy brome seems to move into where they've removed the grass very quickly and causes some issues with the seeds blowing into the fields as well. So I'm wondering if that strategy could be addressed on how we might mitigate that in the future.
Yeah, I would I guess put the initial question to Corey. I don't know if I'll have an answer today, but he might have some feedback if he's had the conversations already. I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, I'll have to talk to the Ag Service Department.
Thank you.
We've started a kind of a new approach to taking care of the hamlets. How's that coming along? Is that working the way we see it working?
We haven't got fully staffed yet.
It's like brand new, as in
Brand new as in
a
just,
week maybe.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, just that's what I'm looking for is an update, because I've had a couple of questions on how the hamlets, and I said, we have a new approach, and I'll ask. But it'll be, I look forward to the update in another month and see how it's working.
So just to add to that, because of it is fairly new. We are like the individual or the one individual that's been hired so far. They're going through the training process of what will be required. So.
Okay. Councillor Hildebrand.
Just wondering what the status is with our infamous dozer.
Yeah, so I'm not sure what the date is soon, though. I'll let Corey speak to the actual date if he knows it. But yeah, we have a trade-in arrangement for a value of $500,000 credit towards the last capital equipment capital purchase grader for this year. So it should be gone soon. Do you know the exact date that grader comes?
No, I don't know for sure.
But it's with respect to this year's capital budgets. It should be delivered this year, the grader, and when the grader is delivered, the dozer is non-delivered.
Undelivered?
Yeah. So, but the trade-in value there was $500,000. So.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? So as we enter June and for our roads and our borough pits and hamlets, everything just ramps up even more so, and that's evident in our report. So thank you for those details. And at this time, if there's no other questions from council, then we'll continue on, but you can always come back to the CEO report. Yes, Councillor Takeda.
So I don't keep asking this question. I wonder if there's a way of, in the unpaid oil and gas taxes, if there's a way of putting down there which companies are currently active or still in operation. So I don't think any of these are, but just so that everybody would have an understanding of if there's some of these derelict companies that are continuing to operate. I don't think any of these are, though.
Correct. They're either not operating, like a long time ago not operating, or a very select few are in some element of winding down, restructuring process. Those two notable ones are Razor and TWD, Tabor Water Disposal. And again, it's not, I can't speak to it comprehensively because when the licenses are transferred, not all of those assets are transferred, only certain ones. Right, so.
Just kind of wondering status or progress on some of our public works projects, graveling, gravel recovery, shoulder poles, and then the drainage, the culvert progress.
Yeah, Corey, you can speak to that somewhat qualitatively. Moving forward, you'll actually see similar, I'm not going to go back to it, but similar maps or graphics as you see with road mowing and spraying. Try to give you monthly updates as to, visually at least, the progress we're making there. But Corey, do you want to speak to what you're aware of in terms of progress on those programs?
Yeah, so next month, hopefully we'll have a more graphic show of what's been done, but we are about a week and a half behind on the shoulder pole crew. The drainage crew, I think, is doing well. The gravel recovery crew, the gravel recovery, we only got one. He's a bit behind. They had a major breakdown about a month into the season, so.
And then crushing, we have an RFP out for, I'm not sure if that was part of your question too, but we have an RFP out that ends tomorrow. So yeah. That should be underway.
So it ends tomorrow and then be awarded.
Yeah.
Shortly
thereafter.
Yeah, and go ahead.
So on the awarding of that contract, does that come back here, or since it's within budget, does it stay with administration?
Yeah, I mean, that's a challenge. It's something that would actually probably require an amendment to better clarify in our purchasing policy. But as far as the purchasing policy is concerned, it just depends on, well, it will be more than 200,000, so likely be here. And but it is kind of unique because it's an operating budget. The tone of the purchasing policy refers to those as kind of capital equipment or capital projects and equipment over a certain threshold that comes. But I'm all about, or I try to be about being safe when we do these things.
Okay, and I just think it should be noted the updates from the Public Works Department on the Grassy Lake stormwater upgrades, that the contract's been awarded and that subdivision, the lift station installation is underway in good progress, and that soil remediation at the Public Works site is being looked at June 26th. So those are big projects that we have been following and have put resources behind. So I appreciate those updates and we'll continue to see the progress. Councillor Hildebrand.
Just to follow up on Councillor Taketo's question regarding the gravel, what is the plan with the associated capital items with the gravel production? So what is the plan with that once the contract has been awarded?
Ultimately, the plan is to be developed. So for clarity, as of today, zero plan, but the plan is to be developed kind of after we experience this scenario, this season of contracting using that method. And then we'll put a plan together moving forward in terms of future RFPs. Perhaps there's an opportunity to integrate surplus of such into future RFPs as well for the service.
Okay, so,
But this is the first time in a while, I believe, that we're taking this method or approach to crushing gravel, so we just kind of wanted to see that happen for this season first.
okay, yeah, it makes sense to have a fallback in the short term,
Yeah.
but in the long term, hopefully it's not in the long term.
Yeah,
Put it that way.
I think it's important to just see how it progresses. So
Very sensible.
I can see, thank you. Any other questions on the CAO report? I do see that they're in the lobby, but we're gonna do the actuals, we're gonna do the budget versus actuals first. And then we'll get going on that. So we pull that up. Thank you for fixing the format. That was good. Appreciate that.
Yeah, I'll leave any sort of specific commentary or variance to our Director of Corporate Services to highlight
Okay,
if he feels
thank you.
necessary.
I don't know if anyone has any questions specifically as you had gone through them on your own. We're not going to go through the 35 pages one by one. If you had questions that arose, and recognizing that I'm not sure, is it July or July, we will see a different financial report. So we're looking forward to that. Okay, any questions from budget or actuals? So at this time, before we go into council reports, we will go to the scheduled 9:30 5.2.3. It is a closed session item, and so is the entirety of the presentation enclosed? Because then I'll get someone to make a motion, but I'll read it in.
Yep.
Okay, so we have a closed session item pursuant to section 1972 of the MGA and section 19 of the Access to Information Act, disclosure harmful to business interests of a third party, Explorer Inc., UBF Alberta Projects. So at this time, a motion to go into closed.
Motion to go into closed.
Thank you. Those in favor? It's carried.
I just have a question with the recommended motion. That seems like we're in total favor, and I'm not exactly sure how we would proceed to access more information with some of our concerns that came up in closed, as I didn't see that in the alternative motions. Is there something that,
The alternative around providing the list, that was intended just to be if there was conditions or additional information that was intended to be gathered. The resolution could be changed to receive it for information and direct administration to gather additional information on any particular item that council sees or desires, wants to see additional information on.
Or you could make it more general and just additional information as reviewed by council. And we'll do our best. That's with respect to the alternative, right?
and I believe that's where we kind of came up with and closed, is we brought forward some pretty good concerns. And with that, I'd like to move that we direct administration to come up with some of our concerns that we brought forward and closed and bring it back at a future
If you look
council
at,
meeting.
sorry to interrupt, Deputy Reeve, if you look at number 2, alternative motion, perhaps that would meet your,
I just think you're sharing.
No, I'm not.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's all good. Carry
Yeah,
on.
I could make that number 2 motion, that the municipal district of Tabor accept the request for project access to road utility right of way for the installation of buried broadband fiber optics as proposed by.
That's it. That's accepting it.
Well, yeah, that's why I was trying to re.
okay,
I'm just copying and pasting it.
Receive.
yeah, you could receive.
I'll stick to my first motion if you kind of got that, Lace.
Motion 2 is you're accepting it for information,
Well,
but we want additional information, so we're not
Yeah.
giving, we're not granting them, go do it. We've accepted what they've given us as information. We want additional information on the topics we discussed in closed session. So I don't think 2 is out of line.
That's how I read it.
yep, I'll,
That's good. Okay, Deputy Reeve moves that the MD of Tabor receive the request and information for project access to road utility right-of-way for the installation of buried broadband fiber optics as proposed by Xplornet, Inc., Universal Broadband Fund, Fiber Project Proposal, Attachment A as information. And that direct administration to gather additional information on the Explore Inc. proposal. Okay, any further comments or questions? Those in favor? Those opposed? That's carried. Okay, we'll take 5 minutes. turn to the agenda. We're going back to the consent agenda, council reports. I realize all of council has been very busy. It seems it's never ending. So everything is outlined in my report, but the one thing I did want to bring forward is I attended the online police funding model that was hosted by MNP on behalf of the province. At that time, Minister Ellis provided opening remarks and said that as of March 2026, there'll be a 57% funding increase. Now, to be clear, that is the RCMP fee that will be sent to the province. It is a large cost. I have asked Arliss, looks like there's a piece missing. I did ask Arliss, and the question is here, has the MD of Taber received formal notice of this increase? And along with the notice that Minister Ellis gave of the 57%, he very clearly said at this time municipalities may want to look at other places. He did mention Coaldale. I have reached out and I've shared with council some of the things they're considering. I don't know that that's something MD of Taber. We had a motion when they were talking about Alberta Police that we were content with our RCMP and satisfied with our service, but there's a lot of moving pieces in the police funding model in Alberta. And so I don't know that I think we have to do something. We have to at least be aware or plan, because an additional 57% of our policing fee will have an impact on how we set our budget for our residents. And it sounds like that bill is coming April 1st, 2026. And yet we have no notice. So I guess from my report, the one thing I would like to be able to do is take that part out of the consent agenda and make a motion to inquire with Minister Ellis if and when we'll receive notice on the 57%, because it's substantial, if council's so willing.
Looking for a motion to,
I'll just move it out of the consent agenda.
Okay.
So very many other good things are happening. RMA has held multiple webinars on police funding model, on payroll, gas tax assessment. I have shared those with council, so we attended. Also shared many of the groups in town have inviting us to attend and make representation. And at this point, congratulations to Integra Tire, congratulations on their 25th anniversary. Our remarks were read in, and we certainly appreciated our social media. We appreciate that what they brought to our business, to our community and our region. So I'll answer any other questions, but I'm going to ask to move the police funding model funding increase out of the consent agenda. Okay, so we'll move on to Deputy Reeve de Groot.
No, everything's pretty much outlined in my report. I appreciate the question from Reeve Minega about where the contract is with ORSC, and I 100% agree with Bryce's answer that the executive is working on it, and I'm sure they're in contact with administration on points they might be working together with to make a good contract for every municipality. That's it.
Thank you. Any questions? Councillor Clausen.
Nothing further to add, but I'll take any questions if there are any.
My question in shared notes, Councillor Clausen referred to the minutes that said they were going to refer a letter to the letter from a member on correspondence?
Yes, it hasn't been
Okay,
received yet, but
that's good.
it is planned to come.
Yep,
to
that's
council.
fine. Thank you. Counselor, any other questions? Counselor Turcado.
I did give a report in late, but it is here in front of you. Nothing much more to add to that. If there's any questions, I will receive them.
Thank you. Counselor Harris.
Excuse me, apologize for not getting mine in on time. Just a few highlights. On June the 7th, I went to Brooks to the Martin Shields thank you event. And on behalf of the municipality, we thanked him for this time that he served as both the mayor of Brooks and the time that he spent with Alberta municipalities and the number of years that he spent as our MP. It was a very nice event, and we were able to spend a little bit of time with him, but the room was full, and a lot of people were there to thank him for his service over the years. The Drainage Committee, the letter that's below in the consent agenda was sent to federal government. Looking for additional funding through DMAF to help with the shortfall we have. The design is still going on for the work between Township Road 100, Red Trail, and the Tabor Lake, which is the biggest portion of this cost, I should say, is regarding what's left to be done. Phase 3 is pretty well complete, as you can see in the CAO report, Jack Dunsmore's report. He's outlined very well where we're at with the project, and the MD Library Board is grateful for the funding we got from the MD. We got it distributed yesterday. We also received the provincial funding, and that'll be distributed as soon as we can make a motion to get that money distributed to the libraries in the Municipal Library Board. And that'll be it, unless you have questions.
Next is Counselor Hildebrandt.
Couple of things here. The Highway 3 Water Commission onboarding is getting close to a completion with the new manager. Just working on a couple of things with authorizations with administration for banking information. That's going to be completed soon. We did have an issue with the water treatment plant. It was resolved quickly and very professionally with little to no impact to service delivery and to residents. The handy bus process is underway to secure a new bus. And just a note, the association is looking for a new board member to serve. A very worthwhile organization that provides a much needed service both to the town and to the municipality. So keep that in mind. If there's anyone willing to serve there, bring that forward. With Highway 3 twinning, I went with the manager to present to Lethbridge County to encourage them to maintain their membership in the association and maintain that regional collaborative effort. A little bit of engagement with residents, delay of dust suppression, and I want to thank administration for their transparency on the information and the progress there as well, so I could appropriately answer that. And there were also some concerns regarding the east access to Grassy Lake on Highway 3. Just something that we need to stay on top of and keep the province, hold the province's feet to the fire with regards to that. Thank you.
Okay, any questions? Thank you. Councillor Reynolds.
Yeah, I didn't get my report in, and then I went to the trouble of printing off Ag Service Board copies for the other 3 people that weren't on it, and they're still in my office, I guess. Had a Tabor Police Commission meeting, Tabor Shooting Foundation meeting, and the Real Community Standards report was in the CAO's report, so I will do better next time.
It's all good. Okay. There, correspondence. We have a letter from the Minister of Environment and Protected Areas. I'll turn it to Arliss.
That was a result of advocacy that Reeve Mianega, co-chairs of the Storm Drainage Committee, had undertook with council's support. I think that was that in April. They met with Minister Schultz, so that was one of the action items coming out of that in terms of reaching out to the newly appointed federal cabinet minister that's responsible for DEMA, Disaster Mitigation and Adaptation Fund program. So that was received, I believe, just this week. So
yeah,
be a little bit before we hear back, I would expect, but hopefully soon.
Okay, thank you. All right, I have the one item, so I can make a motion to receive the consent agenda and have an item requested for exemption on the potential 57% police funding model increase as indicated by Minister Ellis at the MNP presentation.
Is it done?
That won't be the motion, so it's pretty, like, I mean, the motion is just
exempt out that topic?
yes, and then that others was just to help you start forming the motion. Okay, those in favor of accepting the consent agenda and exempting out the request for Info 1 police funding model. Those in favor? That's carried. Okay, let's keep moving along. Upcoming meetings and events.
Sorry, Lisa, I need you to handle this one. I've lost a couple of things here on my computer.
Yeah. Okay, so the one thing the parades in Vauxhall and Barnwell, we just want to make sure that we have people who are interested and want to be there and able to be in the vehicle handing out candy. And so I think we'll actually move those to the Barnwell one to an invitation. I don't think we have an invite on that one. And we have had people reply to Vauxhall. So if you know you are, and Arliss has said that he is likely going to be in Vauxhall, so we'll get the truck that's wrapped there. Does anyone else have any additions or changes that they need to make to the upcoming meetings and events?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Sorry, I'm sharing my apologies. I'm having some technical difficulty here.
We did have some new invites, the MD barbecue, the volunteer firefighter, north and south. So if you can, please RSVP to those events. And everyone, I think we have, yeah, I think those are all good. And if anyone is available for Tabor Archers shoot and tour, they're looking for a response as well. And I shared with you invite to council, the Teams Alberta. They're doing a show, tour on July 8th. That has been extended, but if you were going to go, they need to know right away. I'm not available. Yeah, Airdrie. Okay, no other comments on the upcoming items. There's a lot going on for summer. So I'll take a motion to receive the upcoming meetings and events.
I can give you motion to receive the upcoming meetings and events.
Thank you. Those in favor? That's carried. Okay, request for decision non-bylaw, proclamation request, Development Officers Week.
I think there might be one additional memo.
Oh, sorry,
For
Police
reference.
Review Commission information update. So I will turn that to administration.
Yeah, and this is something Bryce has put time in to put together, and he can ultimately answer any questions that he's aware of potential answers for, or just review it for council if you like. Just trying to keep the information flow.
Okay, any questions on this? There's a lot of moving pieces in Alberta in policing right now, and I don't know that we are in front of it. And that was the tone of the. Okay, yes, Councillor Takeda.
So is it my understanding that the federal government has said that the RCMP will no longer be doing contract policing to any provinces after 2032?
So to be clear, that's when their contract is over.
Ends.
That doesn't mean it's a for hard no. I know that the past prime minister said that that could happen, and there was a white paper on it, but that's when the contract ends. Thank you for this information. So if there's no further questions, then we could just receive a motion to receive the Police Review Commission update.
I can give you motion to receive it, receive the update.
Thank you. Those in favor? That motion's carried. Okay, now on to the proclamation request, Development Officers Week.
Yeah, these requests get funneled through legislative services, so I will let Leslie speak to this one.
Thank you.
Yeah, so our development department initially received this request to proclaim Alberta Development Officers Week, which was forwarded to me. It aligns with our policy and it's before council for consideration. I will note that it does conflict with another proclamation that council has proclaimed. And I believe it's, yes, thanks. Thank you, Councillor Harris.
Well, I don't have a real issue with having two at once, and I do think both of them give us an opportunity to highlight not just the good works of the development team, but other factors that may be related to development that we're always, especially with our new land use bylaw, trying to convey to our residents. So with that, anyone have other questions or prepared to make a motion?
I can give you the motion. Excuse me, I can give you the motion that the Municipal District of Tabor proclaim the week of September 23 to September 26 to be Alberta Development Officers Week.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Those in favor? That's carried. Okay, we've did the next one. So offer to purchase a lot in Hayes.
I think
Oh
there's a,
man, I am just blasting, skipping through. I'm so worried about time. Okay, schedule of a council meeting. So we have that RFD.
Yeah, so I believe this came out of some discussion at a recent update from Committee of the Whole. So to deal with a particular matter in July, as well as any, I guess, potential other matters that might come up. This isn't being presented in the context of a special council meeting. Just given that there's sufficient time, what's being proposed is to set another regular council date in July.
Right. And the reason we decided to do this is when you set a special council meeting, there's different legislation and limits. Whereas if we set this council meeting, we do have intent with the topic, but we could accommodate other items. The agenda would there would still be notification and the agenda would be published as per normal.
And it's also within the context of, I believe we currently do only have one council meeting scheduled in July too. So.
That's correct. Okay.
I can give you the motion that the Municipal District of Taber schedule a council meeting for July 11th, 2025 at 9 a.m.
Thank you. Any comments or questions? Those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Now the lot in Hayes.
I'll let Bryce introduce this topic as
well. So as we approach our final residential lot in the hamlet of Hayes, we have an offer to purchase. So there's a recommendation in front of council today to accept an offer to purchase lot 22, block 17, plan 0512608, which is 625 3rd Avenue, and that's within the hamlet of Hayes. And the lot is to be sold to Mary Gunther for $12,369.10 plus GST, and subject to approval of development permit applications by the Subdivision Development Authority, and entering into a lot sales agreement, entering utility accounts, and then closure within 60 days, full payment for the purchase price. And there's a summary of our lots availability. Also provided in the RFD. You'll notice that yes, there will be no longer any residential lots, although the municipality does have direction from council to continue to inquire on additional lots in the hamlet. So that is being looked at as, for future. Just to mention that as part of the RFD.
Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate that the administration is looking at potential new areas to develop, because I've numerous times have been informed that where the new lots are going, so I don't know where the general public's getting their information from, but they're quite ahead of the ball game. But anyway, with that, I'll give you the motion that Municipal District of Taber accept the offer to purchase lot 22, block 17, plan 0512608, 625 3rd Ave in the hamlet of Hayes, and that the lot be sold to Mary Gunther for $12,369.10 plus GST of $618.46 for a total of $12,987.56, subject to approval of a development permit application by the Subdivision and Development Authority, entering into a lot sales agreement, entering into a utility account, closure within 60 days, and payment in full of the purchase price.
Thank you. Any questions or comments on that read-in motion? Those in favor? That motion is carried. Thank you. Busy place you got going on in Hayes, Deputy Reeve. All right, we're moving on to 9.5, Recreation Capital Project Considerations. So go ahead, Arliss. Yep, thank you.
Director of Community Services will run with this one as well, as far as any questions are concerned. Again, this was, I believe, reviewed in a more budget-centric context at the most recent Committee of the Whole, and the items are here based on that referral, that committee referral, council.
So yeah, as part of our continued look at capital recreation funding, We had a committee of the whole meeting that as Arliss mentioned, did a deeper dive to look at them in together as a group of capital recreation projects. As a result of that meeting, there were 2 recommendations that were brought forward. You can see them in the summary of key points. They came from the committee of the whole directly. There is 2 resolutions that the administration has presented to council in support of the 2 capital projects that were identified at the meeting. And the first one is simply a recommendation straight from committee of the whole to council with regards to the Vauxhall Baseball Academy, the recreation indoor facility. And so that was for the amount of $200,000 with funding to be allocated from the Capital Recreation Reserve, which was identified by the committee and by our policy to be the most appropriate reserve fund to fund these types of projects. The second one is administration's provided an option or recommendation, although council may desire to adjust the recommendation depending on the perspective. This was adjusted to with an up to value, and it was also presented with a in the form of matching funds. And so it essentially, the committee had recommended a $100,000 contribution for the Trail 77 Single Track Association partnership program. And the fundraising approach really, it was presented as a fundraising matching funds, although the committee did agree to provide up to provide $100,000 as a contribution to capital recreation for that group. And again, it's from the Capital Recreation Reserve. So I would put special attention to that council should adjust that resolution to represent the desire of council.
Thank you. So extensive conversations happened at Committee of the Whole. Both of these projects were presented at a prior council meeting by their respective organizations. And then we had, as I said, in-depth conversation at Committee of the Whole, which led to these recommendations. So at this time, I would take comments from council, or if you're prepared to make motions, then we can have discussions, whichever direction you may choose.
I'll give the motion that the MD of Tabor approve funding for the Vauxhall Baseball Academy indoor facility capital project for the amount of $200,000 with funding allocated from Capital Recreation Reserves.
Thank you. Any questions? Any comments? Council, yeah, CEO.
Sorry, I just
No,
didn't raise my hand quick enough before the resolution.
that's perfectly
I don't
fine.
think it'll change anything. But typically what we do, what we have done recently when contributions like this are made, there's contribution agreements or grant agreements that they sign, the receiving organization. And in those, I just think it's important to note, in those there is an expectation of recognition of that sponsorship for the municipality, so that residents know that their tax dollars are supporting that initiative. So just as a side note, in case you ever had the question, that will be and should be addressed in agreements moving forward.
I appreciate that information. I think it's prudent and diligent that we have agreements with these partners that we have entered and decided to fund.
Sorry to
No,
do
that's
that.
no, that's perfectly fine. So, and it should be during the discussion, one of the things that I had stated, and I will I was going to say annoy council, but probably to state that the MD of Tabor has recognized that recreation to our residents is extremely important, and they have taken initiatives at the request of different organizations, Shooting Foundation, Vauxhall Pool, Tabor and District Adult Learning. There is a list, if we just scroll to that list, Motocross Track, Ken McDonald Baseball, Cornfest Stage, Star Theater, Vauxhall Library, as well as numerous others that are of smaller in nature. What this does is it demonstrates that the MD of Tabor recognizes the value that these groups and others contribute to recreation that our residents have an opportunity to use, and that funding is very important. And we also recognize that it is often and primarily on the backs of volunteers that the success of these groups have come to fruition. So with that, Councillor Harris has made a motion. And I'll scroll to that. My computer isn't operating fast enough. If you just go to the top, I'll read it in one more time. That the MD of Tabor approve funding for the Vauxhall Baseball Academy Recreation Indoor Facility Capital Project for the amount of $200,000 with funding allocated from Capital Recreation Reserves. Any further comment or question? Those in favor? That motion is carried. Thank you. Okay, we have a second motion put forward for us with Trail 77 Single Track Association.
I can give you the motion that the MD of Tabor approve funding for the Trail 77 Single Track Association Partnerships Program to finish off their master plan capital project for the amount of $100,000 for funding allocated from Capital Reserve Recreation Reserves.
Thank you. Any comments or questions? Certainly.
Just a question. So in the shared notes, it talks about they were supposed to raise 75,000 and then we're supposed to match that. Is that what we're getting from this?
Sorry, I think I made some confusion with that. I was just giving an example of with the matching contribution, the way that we interpreted it, and there's a very good chance that we misinterpreted it. It was essentially matching funds between the town of Tabor, the MD of Tabor, and the Trail 77 for a grand total of $300,000 for their project. And we were just given an example that if they didn't raise, they raised a certain amount, that we would do matching, but we misinterpreted, I believe we misinterpreted the desire of council at that point, so, or desire of the committee as well, so.
Any other comments or questions? The benefit of Committee of the Whole is we have an opportunity to discuss at length and review things that are happening, whether it would be at the VBA or at Trail 77. And then we get to council and we've had that discussion. So it is not lost on us for those who are viewing it that it may seem we get to this decision quickly, but it took multiple council meetings and a Committee of the Whole, plus a review of budget and our reserves to make these decisions. So
again, just for clarification, if we're going to go up to 100,000, if the town goes to 100,000 and they come up with 100,000, is that what we're?
So we'll look at the motion that was made and then we can make sure. If you look at the Committee of the Whole motion, that isn't what is said. And it should be noted, again, for those watching, because it doesn't get recorded in the minutes, that the town of Tabor said they would match only if we did. It should be noted that we did not state that. Ours is independent based on how the MD Council has viewed the progress of Trail 77 and the integration of activities from biking, walking, racing, and just improvement in the pump track and the trail network throughout the MD coulees that are north of Tabor.
So it's different than this one?
Yeah, and then Councillor Turcato can review his motion, and then you can we'll decide. Counselor Harris, your question is completely valid.
As somebody said, I'm just looking for clarification.
Yep.
I mean, I'm in favor of this. Don't worry about
Yeah.
where I'm gonna vote. I'm just curious on, they have to come up with so much money before we contribute. Is that what I'm reading? Or is that what, am I understanding it right?
Okay, go ahead and speak to it.
So I didn't actually state that, and I see you've got it underlined there. I didn't say for the amount of up to. I said,
That's word doing something with my grammar.
no, that's okay. But that's how I read in the motion. And for clarification, is that how it was presented? Because I don't remember it being presented that way at committee of the whole.
Yeah, so we can invite him, but I think at committee of the whole, we discussed it independently
Yes.
because we didn't want to, that's right. And whatever a neighboring municipality chooses to do, that's their business, whatever their fundraising chooses to do.
I guess we're not gonna get into competitive nature with the neighboring municipality because that's not beneficial to anyone.
No, and we saw the project and the budget, and that this would help them move towards the completion of the master plan. And I'm going to go to Councillor Clausen, and then we do have Mr. Steve Van Gies from Trail 77 in the audience. We'll invite you to come to the front, and if we have a question, then we'll ask you, okay? So Councillor Clausen?
I didn't have a question, but
Okay.
but I do support this. It's heavily used by residents, Vauxhall, Hayes, and Chance, so I'm in full support.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Van Gies, did you want to speak to it? I think we're okay.
So for my motion, if we could remove the underlined part, that would be my motion and how I read it in. Oh, yeah. Oh, no, sorry. You
Yeah, they
changed it
did.
already.
I did.
Changed it already, okay. Thank you.
My fault.
No, that's okay. No,
Okay.
it reads correctly now. Thank you, Ace.
So Councillor Turcato has provided the following motion, that the MD of Tabor approve funding the Trail 77 Single Track Association Partnership Program to finish off their master plan capital project for the amount of 100,000 with funding allocated from the Capital Recreation Reserve. Any comments or questions? Those in favor? That motion is approved. Thank you, Mr. Van Gies, for coming in and for the past information. Okay, since I've been rushing, I want to make sure we're going to the property tax write-off.
I'll just let our Director of Corporate Services summarize what's before council.
So one of the oil companies that we have in the MD has been sold, and as of December 11th, 2024 to Texcal Canada, I believe they're called. And so that new company that purchased the assets and of that company is not responsible for the debts up to December 11th, 2024. And so this RFD is requesting council to cancel or write off the outstanding taxes as of December 11th, 2024. The current outstanding amounts for this company and these roles is $577,000, and so this will write off $289,000, leaving leave approximately $287,000 that they'd still be owing. We've received indication that the company will then, they have reached out to us to figure out how to make those payments for the 2025 taxes. What this amounts to is more or less the writing off of the 2024 taxes, which are in arrears. Up until that December point, we did receive $216,000, which satisfied a portion of the 2023 arrears. And so it's an outstanding amount of that 2024 arrears amount that would be written off. Our team has worked ahead to get what we can in these regards from the proceedings, and so I'm happy that we have been able to collect that $216,000 for it. But this is an amount that is in that shuffle of where they shuffle their assets and move to new companies that won't be collected at this point.
That's called, I think that,
I'm disappointed that AER is allowing for this shuffling or gamesmanship to carry on with these companies, that they're not responsible. So someone has to be held responsible. By writing this off, are we relieving the responsibility of AER and the Alberta government to come up with funding to replace this? Because this is getting old. It really is. And I'm not in favor of writing this stuff off because we're more or less condoning it. But what is our alternative?
I'll let Mike speak to the technical side in more detail than me, because he's better equipped for that. But the writing off, it is more in context with our books and our financial representation. I absolutely agree with the other comments that you made, but I'll let Mike speak to more on with the financial compliance side of things as to what we do. Yeah, and then I can speak after that. I know council's initiated some advocacy lately on that topic.
In this regard, it sits in an account receivable, and if that in any course of if there's an account that we aren't going to receive, and it's very, very highly unlikely that we will receive those funds, then it's common practice to write off that bad debt. And so from an accounting perspective, this is a fairly normal procedure. The rate at which we see this happening with a certain type of industry is well known, well understood by council and by the province. What they are doing to mitigate this is ongoing to or at least they are addressing, or they say they're addressing these issues, and whether that's sufficient is up for interpretation depending on which side you're coming from. From our perspective, this is a burden on our taxpayers. This is something that is being shifted from these businesses and these companies or in organizations on taxes that are owed, which run services in the MD, and then they're not fulfilling those obligations as property owners. With other companies, we've had some success in different measures to collect what funds are outstanding. There's a certain point where when they go into receivership or bankruptcy, then those proceedings get a little more difficult. If they are active companies, we have some more tools. Once they move into these other stages, then it becomes it falls under court order proceedings, and our tools are then limited to what those court actions allow. And so we try to do as much as we can before it gets to that point, but it depends on where the company is at in those proceedings or not in those proceedings, if they're active or not, or if if they've applied to the courts for that the creditor assistance.
So basically, stuff that they're going to shuffle off to a residual company is probably stuff that is going to end up needing to be orphan welled. And so the taxpayer is yet again stuck with paying the bill. I know we've written off a lot, and I don't remember how much over the last 10 or 12 years. And we really have no I'm not sure what the right word is other than to write this much off. But I would like to make a motion, not this one here, that we write the Premier the energy minister, our MLAs, and outline to them the burden that this puts on our taxpayers. I mean, we've been told that the premier's not getting the information. And I think we should also outline exactly how much we've written off over the last 10 or 12 years, that it's a burden on our taxpayer and on our budgets. And I don't know, I just think that they need to be brought up to speed on what it does to a municipality such as EMD of Tabor when we're continually writing off money, and it's a hit on our budget. Our taxpayers are paying this. And so I don't know, Lace, I'm not a wordsmither, but I agree with the recommended motion in front of us. I'll probably vote in favor, but I think we need to also do a little bit more. The premier and the energy minister need to know what it's costing this municipality.
So a couple weeks ago, we did issue a letter under the Reeve signature, and it was sent to, you have to, others in the room will have to help me remember, but it was sent to the Premier's office, Minister Jean's office, Minister of Municipal Affairs, our two MLAs, and RMA, as well as the AER, as well as AER, CEO. I'm sure there's a couple others. Yeah, RMA. It mentioned everything that you highlighted, Meryl, with exception of the total that we've written off over the years. And we provided the administrative reporting that we've been providing to municipal affairs all along. So everything except the total has been,
okay. Well,
within the last 2 weeks has been sent. We can do it again.
Okay. No, if it's been done, that's good. I just, like I said,
So
they need to know what it's costing this municipality when these companies do this to us.
yeah, and so that's probably my fault that letter once signed, we should have distributed that to council.
I'll distribute it today.
So we'll make sure. Yeah, that motion came following RMA when both Premier and Minister Jean noted that they had no idea who these people were and that they have no idea on the reporting. Yet our municipality, as well as everyone in the province, has an obligation to report to municipal affairs the outstanding debt and the amount that is owed by bad actor oil companies. And again, we want to recognize there is good people, but this transfer of license without having to pay taxes is become such a burden on our taxpayers, on our businesses that are involved, on our landowners who have leases that have been unpaid. So you're right, Meryl, there could be multiple letters written. The province continues to say they're doing something about it, but what? And I agree. And my question to AER and to Premier Smith is they are not allowed to operate unless the royalties are paid. How can they be allowed to operate and transfer licenses without their municipal taxes being paid? So I find it extremely frustrating that, we're trying to fund recreation so our residents can have places to play soccer and baseball and walk on the trails, but we're going to write off taxes that are due to our municipality for just shy of the amount that we donated. And that is just annoying. Councillor Hildebrand.
Well, and it's really rubs salt into anyone else that owns property, because that land cannot be transferred title without that liability being satisfied. And here we have an asset that is transferring without that. Very notable to me that we just approved $300,000 in recreation, and it lines up just exactly with this. And it's, we've built out infrastructure to support this industry, roads, namely, and this is the thanks we get from that industry. I don't know how much we want to beat this horse, but I can make the motion if you're ready, or we can have further discussion.
Yeah, are you want? Sorry, knowing what you know now.
There's a motion on the table.
I can,
Oh, sorry.
I can withdraw it because I did not realize the exact thing I want done has been done.
Yeah, so my apologies, and we'll make sure that gets sent out.
But I do agree with Merrill. It would be nice to give the amount, the year to date. And I would encourage that letter be sent again with the impact to this municipality. So I encourage your motions.
Drew it.
Okay, once you've seen the letter and the documentation that supported it, you know, we could do an addendum and send out an addition, but once you see that, I think you'll feel that it's important. And then perhaps there'll be a place on the next council meeting that we can even include that letter so our residents are aware of what was sent out. And to Councillor Hildebrandt's point though, I do want to recognize that there are oil companies in our municipality who have made a significant difference to our fire departments, our recreation, our schools. So it is not everyone, but it is those companies who've been allowed to continue to operate and transfer licenses when they have have names on their boards who are the same people who are transferring licenses and not paying their taxes. But in our municipality, MD of Taber, oil companies have been a huge contributor. So I just want to make sure that we don't paint everyone with that. The language that RMA has used is the bad actors, and we've sort of adopted that, but it's the bad actors who are a burden to our residents time and time again. And it is the same ones. It isn't just anomalies. It is the same ones over and over. And I think we have a call to the Premier and the Minister to do something about this. So sorry, that was long, but I'm just so frustrated that we can have licenses transferred and taxes not paid. So, Councillor Hildebrand.
Well, I share that same emotion, and I'll move the recommended motion with the addition of one word. That council regrettably cancels or writes off the outstanding property taxes and penalties for Razor Energy Corporation incurred prior to December 11th, 2024 in the amount of $289,595.30 as per attachment A, and direct administration to remove the written off amount from the tax ledger.
Thank you. Councillor Turcado.
I'll be voting against this only because I want it to remain messy, so we continue to see it to remind us.
Any other comments regarding this?
Perhaps just a question for Mike. You talked about entering into a tax agreement for other arrears that they haven't paid. The new company is they want to enter an agreement to get caught up. Is that what?
Not that they want to enter an agreement, just that they have reached out to say, how do we take care of this? A tax agreement would only be entered into once it's in arrears. If these are written off, they are no longer in arrears any longer. They would only have the current year taxes, at which point they would be free to enter into an auto pay or a tax payment plan as any other tax payer would. The tax agreements plans usually are only kind of into effect once they are in arrears and are in the process of being registered on title, and so we wouldn't have that. It wouldn't be the same at this point. They've reached out just to say, hey, how do we start taking care of this?
For clarity's sake, one, it outlines what's owing, but this is an accounting procedure.
Yes.
Okay, so with that, council regrettably cancels or writes off the outstanding property tax and penalties for Razor Energy Corp incurred prior to December 11, 2024 in the amount of $289,595.30 per attachment A, and direct administration to remove the written off amount from the tax ledger. Those in favor? Those opposed? That motion is carried. Thank you.
Could we we've talked about this, and do we need to do this by motion, just the, arrears that we've written off over the, just have that information provided to council? Do we do that by motion, or is that just understood?
No, I think it would be okay to do a motion, and to Councillor Harris and Deputy Reeves' point, we could send an addition to the letter sent to include the total amount of written off.
Yeah,
That way we
either-
encompass the tone of our discussion.
Or that could be our response to any communication we get back from the province, from our
Sure.
initial letter.
Okay, so I'll leave it to you to
So-
form your motion.
So I just gonna look for around the table, what is it, or and to administration, what is an appropriate timeframe to look back? Yeah,
I
on
would
what
say-
we've written off, 5 years, 7 years?
I would say 2018 with the grace of 1 or 2 years on either side, so 2017.
Okay. So then with that, I'll move that council directs administration to provide council with the total of outstanding property taxes and penalties that have been written off since the 2017 MD of Tabor fiscal year.
Okay, thank you. We'll just give Blaise a moment.
Arnos, how difficult is it to, like, to draw that out of your accounting? How difficult is that to find that information? And the only reason I'm asking that is, I remember my first term, and I don't remember the company, I think the amount was either 300,000 or 800,000. If we went back to 2013, is that much more difficult to go that far back?
Mike might have some feedback on that. I can't tell you.
If it's recorded in the system, which it should be, I can go back as far as I think 1995. But that would be a whole gamut of things.
You know, the first time it happened, it was like, holy cow, are you kidding? Are we gonna go broke here? You know, I mean, that's just, that was the reaction, but it was a significant amount. And like I said, it was somewhere in my first term, and I don't remember what year it was, so.
You can provide provide some flexibility in the resolution, and we can.
And I'm open to an amendment.
As far back as
As manageable.
Yeah, we could just, reword it to,
I don't want is spend a whole pile of time, but I just remember the first time it happened, it was like, holy cow.
There's no sense in wasting more resources.
and we're going to have the taxes to pay for that.
Why don't you just leave it? Yeah, so that way you can.
I would propose, just go back to 2010 and we're good.
Or as manageable.
Yeah, yeah, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to do that first?
And is retrievable or efficiently retrievable by staff or something along those lines? Lots of cooks. We're going to end up with a stew.
And it should say oil and gas,
Reasonably manageable.
right? Like not just writ,
Yeah.
and just should be oil and gas.
But even, well, if that makes it more difficult than.
Okay, yeah, sure,
Because
I'm good with.
Because 99% of our issues are with one industry.
Yeah.
Because other industries goes on title.
Counselor Hildebrand has given us the motion that council direct administration to provide council with the amount of outstanding property taxes that have been written off as is reasonably manageable. Okay, those in favor? That motion's carried. Okay, moving on to Grassy Lake Storm Drainage Project Award. Yes, sorry, Councillor Takeda.
Would it be possible to discuss some of this in closed session on this awarding?
Okay. So do you want the administration to promote it or present it first and then go into closed? What's your preference? Because
Whatever.
you can make the motion to go into closed.
Well, I'll just make the motion to go into closed to discuss this item.
Okay, and that would be, I can still use the same one that's on our paper. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Could we try to have a conversation as the RFD is presented? I can have a hunch where it might go, but I'm okay with if there's something that gets flagged and we should go and close, I'm okay with that.
That's fine. We'll start it and yes.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll try to
Yeah.
prompt if I think we need to, but
Okay, just
the way
don't
it-
let us go too far.
the
If,
way it sits, I think it's okay.
okay, but if questions get asked, then please interrupt so we don't put ourselves in the muck. Okay, go ahead, please.
So this the stormwater, or sorry, this Grassy Lake Stormwater Upgrades Project is an approved capital project for 2025. It went out to tender and is closed. The results outlined in the RFD as well as the attachment are there. There's a recommendation there to go with the low tender. That company being Osaterra. The budget for the project is $950,000. As you see in the attachment, the difference between the low tender and the second lowest tender is minimal, but this is the low tender, and that is a standard recommendation that would typically come from administration. Quite simply, we have utilized Osaterra before on a different project. I've got no problem saying that it was a challenge to work with the company, but on the same token, they finished the project. The scope of that project is a little different than what's in Grassy Lake. Corey, do you have anything to add to that piece with respect to low tender, low bid?
No, they are the low bidder. Like Arla said, the second place bidder is right near that same vicinity anyways. Leads me to believe that Osaterra didn't miss anything if you've got other bidders around the same price, so.
I don't know if this is an open session or closed session question, but
I
they
can
did-
say the elephant in the room, like it was a
they-
challenge working with the company.
they did 816, right, the
Yeah.
project.
That's right.
It shouldn't be a surprise that if they want to watch this, to hear me say that. It's, in my opinion, factual, so that's our experiential learnings with that particular contractor.
I'm gonna go with Councillor Chikado, then Councillor Hildebrand.
I'm going to give you the motion that the MD of Taber Council approve awarding the contract to RCB Excavating for the amount of 561,222 to complete the construction of the Grassy Lake stormwater upgrades.
There's a motion on the table. I'm not sure how this works with tender awarding and per our policy, so I need clarification.
That's where you might want to transition into closed session.
Okay, thank you. So we have a motion on the table, but I would look for a motion to go into closed.
give the motion to go into closed session.
Okay, thank you. Those in favor? That motion's carried. Okay, Counselor Harris made a motion to come out of closed session. Those in favor? Motion's carried. Okay, we'll go back to this project, and Counselor Chircato has a motion on the floor. The MD of Tabor approve awarding the contract to RCB Excavating for 561-2276 to complete the construction of the Grassy Lake stormwater upgrades. Any more questions or comments? Those in favor of the motion? Those opposed to the motion? That motion is not carried. Okay, back to the original RFD.
I'll give you a motion that the MD of Tabor Council approve awarding the contract to Osatera Limited for $536,079.60 to complete the construction on the Grassy Lake stormwater upgrades.
Thank you. Any comments or questions? Those in favor? Those opposed? That motion is carried. Okay. It is 12:11. Is lunch arrived?
It's here, yeah.
Okay. Well, we have two items that are the public hearing bylaw and the dust mitigation. I'm happy to push through, but I don't want others to feel that my time crunch.
Well, I'm happy to push through, but I'll defer to the majority.
Okay, I'll take a quick look around. Push through. Okay, admin, you're good with that if council's willing?
You bet, we're here.
Okay, so we will continue on our meeting. We are now on bylaw, public hearing bylaw.
So the bylaw that's before council for consideration is ultimately legislation or local legislation to comply with one of the elements of Bill 20, and that's with respect to updating public hearing accessibility requirements within the municipality. Bryce and his team did prepare this and present it and have it ready for presentation for MD Council. We are past the deadline by which we were supposed to have it ready, but it's here before council nonetheless. We ultimately need it in place to be able to hold public hearings in alignment with current legislation. Bryce, anything you'd like to add? Highlighting the fact that it's ultimately around digital participation for public hearings. But go ahead.
Yeah, I don't want to just re-say everything that was mentioned, but ultimately the electronic means is the key element, and that's focused on planning and development. And so the examples that were provided in the attachment would be like land use amendments, anything that requires a public hearing. And the municipality would still maintain the opportunity to do in-person meetings in conjunction with electronic meetings and or depending on the topic. It just provides us, again, the alignment with the Municipal Affairs Statutes Amendment Act. And again, specific to planning and development is what the Municipal Government Act is focused on with the change. And it also includes a statement about public hearings in relation to, and I actually don't want to get the wording wrong. Let me just bring up the attachment. Which attachment? It is the attachment B, the fact sheet. These changes were highlighted as changes that are focused on accelerating housing development. So that is a key piece to note, and requires municipalities to offer electronic options for public hearings on planning and development. And then the second part restricts them from holding extra public hearings when required by legislation. So it's again very specific to accelerating housing development. So I just mention that again, and then those are the two key pieces that we're trying to address with the adoption of this new public hearing procedures bylaw. Just one second here. Back to my RFD. We presented also the fact that the change is focused on additional public participation. So the electronic means does provide additional options. It focuses on providing options for electronic means. So it is something that the public would or anyone who wants to participate would have to choose to utilize. But it does just provide options for electronic means of accessing the meeting and providing input into the public hearing process. Other than that, I wouldn't have anything else to add other than.
Okay, thank you. And as much as the province noted it was to accelerate housing, it still is impactful across the board on public hearings. So we want to just make sure. My question probably in shared notes is probably just nitpicking the bylaw, but our regular scheduled meeting is at 9. And so often we've tried to hold public meetings beyond that. And I just wondered if we needed to make an addition, or we would just call a special meeting of council if we were holding a public hearing. So it doesn't need to be in legislation.
So I did, and I did mention it in the notes, but I'll just mention it again, is that I did reach out to this. This is not a template per se. This is not a template given out by municipal affairs or anything, but it is a model that's used elsewhere. We did consult with the other municipalities that are proposing to use or have used. And the feedback we received was just that, again, exactly that the Rees comment with regards to special council meeting. It would be one way to address after hours. They didn't have the example of utilizing it during after. They don't do the public hearings after hours, but in our case, we certainly could use it for that. It would be a very valid solution to providing that extra flexibility in providing the public hearings after hours. And I did ask for any other feedback, and they just suggested that it had been working quite well. Again, during 9 to 4 type hours for them.
And we already have the mechanism to call a special meeting. Arliss?
To add to that, I mean, typically there's some planning with respect to public hearing, like weeks in advance planning. So if you did want alternative times, you can, and council does have the authority to change times on the regular council meeting. Right, and then they could address it that way as well.
That was just the only thing that came to mind. So, okay. So otherwise, it seems quite straightforward. This is in response to the government's review of some of the MGA. So at this time, is someone prepared to make a motion?
I can give you a motion that the Municipal District of Taber give first reading to the Municipal District of Taber public hearing procedure and conduct bylaw effective upon third reading of the bylaw.
Thank you. Those in favor of the read-in motion? That's carried. Because we aren't at the timeline, do you want to, if council desires, we could go ahead with second, possibly a unanimous vote to do third?
The only consideration is we just wouldn't be able to have a public hearing until this is passed. That's the only.
Do we have any scheduled at this time?
We do have a proposed public hearing, I believe, for, let me just bring it up. I believe August 19th there is a proposal for a public hearing, so we would have a proposed that is for August 19th council meeting, yes.
Okay. So it's a desire of council, what you want to do.
We have council meetings between now and then. I think we can wait.
Okay. All right. We will continue on our agenda to the policies. We have the dust mitigation policy is up for review.
I'll let our Director of Municipal Operations speak to this one as well. This was reviewed as part of our regularly scheduled reviewed policies. I believe Committee of the Whole did also review and discuss it as well. It has been referred to Council for further discussion and consideration. Corey, do you have anything to add?
Just that the policy was it was reviewed and operational stuff was taken out of it. That can be better associated with a directive. And anything that had costs related to it that get changed on a yearly basis were removed from policy, and it was stated in the new policy, the proposed policy, that it refers to the fees and rates bylaw.
Thank you. All right, Council, do you have any questions or prepared to make a motion?
Well, I'll give you a motion that the Municipal District of Tabor approve the revisions to policy 62-022 dust mitigation policy.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Those in favor? That motion is carried. Okay, the consent agenda exemption is the policeman model. I think Lace probably has something. The intent of the motion that I'd like to make out of the consent agenda is to request an information or advisement from Minister Ellis and his department. And then, once we know that, we may consider having an additional conversation. Okay. Okay, so I will move that the MD of Tabor investigate if and when the municipality will receive formal notice regarding the 57% funding increase as it pertains to the police funding model, and to report back to council with findings and any relevant correspondence or timelines. Any questions? Those in favor? That motion is carried. Okay, council request for information and motion. Councillor Harris.
This is for Arlos regarding our meeting yesterday with Lethbridge County. Did I understand yesterday that you were looking for direction to work with Lethbridge County to find solutions to, like, Chin Road, for example?
If that's council's desire, then I would need that in a resolution-based direction.
I will make the motion then that to direct administration to work with the Lethbridge County to find solutions for Range Road 19-1, known as the Chin Road.
I think so. Yeah, I mean, we had planned, I expect it'll be a budget discussion for council as a whole. But.
So I just want to put a little bit of context on it, please.
Sure, I can do that. So yesterday we had the opportunity to meet with Lethbridge Council, their CEO and their Director of Operations. One of the items that came out was a mutual concern for the road, the Chin Road, which is the north-south road that is from Highway 3 straight north. And it's a collector road, and there's been some deterioration in the last while. Lethbridge County recognizes that's an important road for their operations, and their CEO and council indicated that they would be willing to have discussions, possibly support application for mutual grants and opportunities to find a way to improve that road. So at this time, it would be just exploratory administratively, and their their CO indicated that they were already preparing and wanting to make that. And so it was discussed that a motion would need to become from both councils to start that process. They have other items that we're going to discuss, but at this time, that was the most pressing front one. And then other areas, just so to bring you to speed, which we haven't done for you or other members who weren't there. We also had discussions on how could we what could we do to work together to mutually improve our area as far as water and sewer and any other possibly shared regional resources. But I don't think we're prepared at this time to make those motions. This one was specific.
And this is 19-0, I think.
Yeah, I think you said 19-1, but you meant 19-0.
Misheard that.
I was gonna make sure
So
on the,
that's- Yeah, 19-1 is in Lethbridge County.
Yeah.
Jurisdiction.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah,
It's the main north-south road, it's the county boundary, it's the MD boundary.
And it supports.
All
yeah.
roads dumps into this road. It's a very highly used road, it's had some improvements made to it over the years, but the traffic and whatnot is substantial on this road.
There's businesses of significance on that road as well.
Is this the road, the bridge is also a high priority, or, okay.
We talked about that yesterday, that we've applied for funding to get the bridge done, and I don't know if beyond application where we're at with it, but we haven't heard, as far as I know, that of getting the grant money. But like I said, that would be all part of fixing the road, is getting the bridge fixed.
so Councillor Hildebrandt, to your point, this is preliminary, but at least then it's on the books and we have the motion in place. There were no discussions of dollars or the type of repair, but at least to look at doing a bit of an analysis, whether that includes traffic counts, safety, available grants, different things like that. So does that give you enough background?
It does, thank you. And I think it probably helps residents have some background on this as well.
Certainly. So Councillor Harris has given us a motion that the MD of Tabor administration collaborate with Lethbridge County administration to research possible solutions with regard to Range Road 19-0, commonly referred to as Chin Road. Any comments or questions? Those in favor? That motion is carried. All right, any other requests for information and motion? Lace, did I skip anything else? Okay. All right, motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you. 12:28.